All right, ma'am, you're prepared to do that?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you'll stand up, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You put your hand down. Okay, now we're going to go through an inquiry here. If you don't understand something, just stop me and ask, and we'll go through it, okay? And I'm going to ask you a few basic questions. State your full name.
Julie Schenecker.
Okay, and how old are you, ma'am?
53.
And your date of birth?
January 13th, 1961.
Okay. Now, Ms. Schenecker, I need to assure myself that you understand your Fifth Amendment rights. Do you understand that under the Constitution of the state of Florida and the United States that no one can compel you to testify? Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also understand that no one can compel you not to testify? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, I do not want to know the contents of any of your discussions with your lawyers. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
But I do want to know if you had an opportunity to discuss your rights with your attorneys. Have you had that opportunity?
Yes, we have.
And did you have an opportunity to discuss with your attorneys the advantages and disadvantages of testifying?
At least, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And now I'm going to go ahead and ask at this point, I think it's important to inquire. You are under the influence of some medications, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and specifically, you're taking medications that have been prescribed by a physician, is that correct?
Both medical doctor and psychiatric doctor.
Okay, and have you taken the medications that were prescribed by both doctors within the last 24 hours?
Yes, I have.
And have you taken them according to the doctor's prescription?
Yes, I have, Your Honor, the entire time I've been in jail.
Okay, all right. Well, that's important for me to check on that. You didn't skip any of the medications. You didn't miss any. You've taken them according to the prescription, correct?
I missed one.
When was that? In the last 24 hours?
Oh, no, in the beginning.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to go back. I'm talking about right now because the important question is, right now, as you and I have this discussion, I need to assure myself that you understand what we're discussing. Do you understand?
I do understand, Your Honor.
All right. Have the medications you take do they interfere with your ability to understand as we go about this inquiry?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Counsel, I'm going to ask you. She appears to me to be clear and well-oriented in answering my questions appropriately. Any question about that from counsel?
No, Your Honor.
No, Judge, I don't believe so.
All right. Now, having determined that you had an opportunity to discuss with your attorneys the advantages and disadvantages of testifying and your rights, that's all correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Have you made a decision whether you will testify or not?
I have and I won't, Your Honor.
You won't?
No.
I want to make absolutely clear. You've had this opportunity to talk with your lawyers. You understand the decision whether to testify or not is your decision and yours alone. You understand that? That's your decision.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and it is your decision not to testify. Is that correct, ma'am?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And did you make that decision to not testify freely and voluntarily?
Your Honor, I did completely, freely, and voluntarily make that decision.
Okay, did anybody try to force you or bully you into that decision?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Now, having made this inquiry, Ms. Schenecker, I'm going to ask counsel for the defense if you have any questions in this very limited area.
No, Your Honor.
I'll ask the state if you have any questions in this very limited area.
No, sir, thank you.
And with that, the court will find that Ms. Schenecker has made the decision to not testify freely, voluntarily, and without coercion. You may sit down. All right, counsel, now let's talk about our schedule. Having made that inquiry, is it my understanding that when we bring the jury back in and I turn to the defense, it's your intention to rest? Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. And then I'll be sending this jury home, and we'll be reassembling again at 8:30 tomorrow morning. And I take it the state has rebuttal, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything before I bring the jury in and we proceed in that fashion?
No, sir.
No, Your Honor.
Bring the jury back in.
All rise, jurors in the courtroom.
Okay, everyone can be seated. With that, we will turn to the defense. You may call your next witness.
The defense, Russ.
Okay, thank you, Kim. And now, with that, members of the jury, I'm going to be sending you home for the evening. And we're going to go ahead and talk about it in the same order we have each day. And that is our schedule first. Once again, 8:30 in the morning. 8:30, and we know you'll come back, and we know back means courtroom 53A in the usual fashion now. Please give yourself, again, plenty of time in the morning. You certainly now are very, very familiar with coming downtown and the challenges associated with that. Same time, I know you're going to go home and get to bed early and get plenty of rest so you can be completely alert and attentive, which, of course, is absolutely required during these important proceedings. You know, I'm going to remind you that we're still in the course of trial. That means those instructions apply. You're not to discuss the case among yourselves. You're not to discuss it with anyone else. Not to allow anyone to discuss it with you in your presence. Again, as throughout this proceeding, if anyone attempts to say anything to you or in your presence about the case, that's when you tell them you're on the jury trying the case. Tell them to stop. If they persist, you have to leave that person at once. At the very next opportunity, you're going to advise the bailiff, who in turn will advise me. I'll remind you again, this case must be tried upon the evidence presented in this courtroom in your presence and the presence of the attorneys, the defendant, and the judge. You're not conducting any investigation on your own. You're not to visit any of the places that may have been described in the evidence. You're not to read nor listen to any reports about the case from any source whatsoever. Not to speak at all with the attorneys, the witnesses, or the defendant about any subject until your deliberations are finished. Not to do any sort of research, gather information about, or communicate about this case, people or places involved, or your jury service through any means, including all those electronic devices. With that reminder of those important instructions, we'll see you in the morning.